Kenya celebrated heroes and heroines who helped it attain independence from the British colonial rule on 20th October 2023. And while some people trooped to the area where the president was addressing the nation, most people opted to stay at home, either doing laundry, tending to their crops, or catching up with family and friends. A sneak peek into the faces of Kenyans in the streets tells one thing: disappointment. Before the government was elected into office, it promised the marginalized, province-stricken Kenyans that it would change their lives. And surely it has, but in a bad way. When William Ruto, the Kenyan president, was campaigning for the top seat, he made huge promises, but did he fulfill them? To answer you this, let's go down the memory lane. In 2007, Kenya held a general election, and the presidential results brewed violence. One faction, which was comprised of Raila Odinga, had ardent supporters, including William Ruto. The other faction featured the late Moi Kibaki, and it had its supporters, including the former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta. After the skirmishes settled, Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, Henry Kosgei, Francis Muthaura, Joshua Sang, and Mohammed Hussein Ali were taken to the ICC, The Hague. The famous, or if you like, the infamous Ocampo 6. During the court proceedings, William Ruto felt that Raila Odinga, whom he had supported with everything possible, abandoned him. The ICC would acquit the 6 of the charges, and Uhuru Kenyatta would join hands, or if you like, forces, with William Ruto in a bid to heal the country. In 2011, they would traverse Kenya, asking Kenyans to vote them into the presidency in 2013. They would tour churches and be prayed for by pastors, and in 2013, they would be elected. Like other African presidents, all the massive promises they had made to Kenyans, like laptops to schools, would disappear. They would borrow massively at exorbitant interest from China, and the debt level in Kenya would skyrocket. In 2017, another election would be held, and Raila Odinga would refute results, forcing Kenyans to carry out a rerun of the elections. In 2018, Uhuru Kenyatta would look for Raila Odinga and do what became the famous handshake, trying to bring the country together. William Ruto would feel betrayed since he was left out of the discussions. Between 2018 and 2022, when Kenya held another election, William Ruto would traverse the nation, mourning how President Uhuru Kenyatta had betrayed him and transferred all his duties as the deputy president to Raila Odinga. Having worked with the late former President Moi, Ruto understood that Kenyans, like other Africans, are easily duped when the word God is invoked. He would tour churches, give huge offerings and tithes, interact with the youths. They would coin the word hustler, meaning a person of low social status who is working their way to become the creme de la creme of the nation. They would also come up with the bottom-up analogy, using the wheelbarrow as a sign for their campaigns. I almost forgot. William Ruto would tell the youths who were thirsty for a change of leadership that he started off as a chicken seller and worked his way to become who he was at the moment. He would bash President Uhuru Kenyatta for raising the price of petroleum products and general products. He would promise that should he be elected the president, he would change everything in the country, appoint common citizens to the decision-making table, scrap off fuel levies and negotiate price of petroleum products, minimize taxes, and improve the education sector. President Uhuru Kenyatta would tell the people that the prices of commodities were pushed by the COVID-19 pandemic and the Ukraine-Russian war, but his words would fall on deaf ears. The youths would believe every single word Ruto and his fellow politicians said. He would be elected the president in another controversial election. come to the naming of his cabinet, no common citizen was appointed. Instead, people who sponsored Ruto's campaigns were all given senior positions, regardless of whether they were qualified or not. He would also come up with some sick deductions to all salaried Kenyans, dubbed the housing fund, where the employees would be deducted a certain amount as a tax to help Kenya build affordable houses. The price of petroleum products would also shoot over the roof, contrary to what he had promised. Basic goods would also go up the skies, making the hustlers, in quotes, start talking in low tones in disappointment. The cost of education in the higher learning institutions would also shoot high. During the reigns of former presidents, a 4-year undergraduate course would cost about $2,000, but under William Ruto administration, the cost is around $8,000 and $9,000, depending on the course one is undertaking at the university. The same government that claimed they only found $1.92 million when they were elected would collect taxes spent on the same, travel outside the country at will, and borrow more. The hustlers who supported the same government are now its biggest critics, and they are bold enough to call it out. During the celebration which I mentioned earlier, the deputy president was met with silent treatment when he greeted the audience.
Nchi wa Kericho, hamjambo? Hamjambo tena. Salimiani kwa hewa. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. God is good.
Prior to the start of the celebration, 4 people would die due to a stampede and 13 others would be injured, but the president would still address the people without eulogizing them, since they were the heroes of the day, having braced the muddy fields and roads to listen to more promises. If you are new to this channel, make sure you subscribe.